Bro, this guy needs a haircut. Hello, hello, hello. Welcome back to Hunter Tune. Shalom, shalom, shalom. Welcome back to Hunter Tune. Today we're going to be dyno tuning, not tuning. We're going to be dyno testing one of my buddy's cars. It's a real Integra Type R. JDM AF, or whatever you want to call it. It's a real one. It's a real Type R, and it's the first one that I've seen in person. Well, I think maybe I've seen one at a car show or something, but it's the first one I've actually been able to, you know, sit in and like look at. So it's pretty cool. He's gonna be here in a little while. He's gonna pull in his Integra Type R, and we're gonna throw it on the dyno and see what a healthy, clean, unscrewed with, I don't really like using the other word, a fairly bare bones, you know, stock original 98. It's 98 Integra Type R, and I think it's just going to be cool to show you the nostalgia of true Japanese sports car. I think it's cool to see it, and I'm excited to share it with you guys. But in other news, the 4-door is on the lift because it needs a battery, and it's been sitting for quite a while. But I'm going to be putting a battery in this thing. I just did some maintenance things on my S2000, and I swapped the turbo to a turbo that I think is going to be properly sized for this setup. We've tried big turbo and small turbo on this. Now we're trying medium-sized turbo. So let me know if you guys want to see the outcome on the dyno with the S2000. And I also did some other cooling mods, and I want to talk about some of the issues I've been having with the S2000 coming up soon. So let me know down in the comments if you guys want to see some Hall Tech issues that I've been dealing with and some other stuff. So yeah, let me know. I don't know, in other news, cars are just, you know, doing their thing out here, hopefully making more videos soon. But yeah, let's check out this Type R. Dang, wrong wheel drive, or wrong side drive. Wrong side and wrong wheel. Too bad it's raining outside. The car's kind of wet. Yeah, we're gonna get it strapped down on a dyno and I'll talk about it. So this is the first time that I've actually put a right-hand drive car on the dyno, and it's definitely different putting it up on the roller like I normally would. Everything's kind of backwards. But it's pretty cool. I think the coolest part for me is just having the steering wheel on the right-hand side. Let me shut this door. Sorry, the Holy Spirit's just raining on us outside. Anyways, this is a little different because obviously everything's on the opposite side of the car. Right-hand drive. I feel like a mailman, you know. But it is cool because it's all original, and I feel like even this carbon fiber stuff is all like original stuff, right? Yeah. So that's cool. You don't see that in a normal Integra. Factory, they come with racing seats, these red Recaro seats. So that's pretty cool. Yeah, it's just a very unique car, something that you might see something similar like this, but not to this caliber every day. So that's why I think this is a special car to show you guys, and I'm fortunate for my buddy bringing it by and wanting to play around with it. All right, so let's pop the hood on this bad boy. Now it's a normal B series like you see on the channel all the time. I mean, B18, B16, they all kind of look the same in the engine bay. But this one's cool because everything's backwards, like I was already mentioning. Brake booster on the left side of the engine bay when you're looking at it from the front. The battery on the right side, pretty cool. It's just different. You don't see this kind of stuff in the US. Other than that, the engine and stuff looks completely, you know, the same. Nothing's really different there, but yeah. All right, let's put it in service mode since we're at the garage here. The VIN number on the firewall, I don't think I'm going to show it, but it's kind of cool to see like how small the VIN numbers are in a Japanese car versus an American car. They're like half the amount of letters. Normally when you look at a VIN on a US car, the VIN is like, I forget how many digits it is, but it's quite a few. Where this car, the VIN is really basic. So that's kind of cool to see. Yeah, like I said, it's a cool car, and it's something that, you know, people make replicas of these, but not they're not as common to see as like an all original kind of setup. And this car is not completely all original. It has an aftermarket catback exhaust. I think it's a Mugen twin loop. But other than that, and I don't know if it comes with like the aftermarket headlights and fog lights, that's all been changed. But for the most part, everything has been fairly untouched. It has factory exhaust manifold, factory airbox, factory intake manifold. And I think there's something to say about that on a 90s car, especially a 90s Honda, that has not been kind of screwed with and modified a ton. And to kind of keep it that way, I think there's something special to say about it. And I think that's why I don't think I could ever own one of these cars, because I can't leave well enough alone a lot. And I always know there's hidden horsepower. I don't care how good the car is from the factory. I feel like we can always make it better at Hunter Tuned. We can put a turbo on it or whatever, shoot nitrous down it, throw it on E85. But I think that ruins this type of car. Maybe not. Maybe one day I'll buy a Type R and completely screw it all up and make everybody mad, the purist. And I'd like to think of this as a holographic Pokemon card. You know, you have your normal Integra as like your typical Charizard, versus the Integra Type R is the holographic Charizard. I don't know if that was a dumb analogy or not, but
that works.
It was just a joke. Okay, so anyways, we know this one's real because my buddy over here bought this from a dealer in Michigan called, what was it called?
It's JDM Sport Classics.
JDM Sport Classics, and they're out of Twin Falls, Michigan, or
Three Rivers.
Three Rivers. It started with a T. Three Rivers, Michigan. He drove it. I think he put a deposit down. They had the car sent over, imported, did all that stuff. He did a bunch of, what was the, they give you like a bunch of auction stuff from Japan.
Yeah, you get the auction slip. A lot of the cars come from auction.
Yeah, so he got like Japanese auction slips with it, which I thought were really cool to see like all the thorough inspection they do over there. Honestly, on a 90s car like this in the US, I don't think they would go nearly as thorough as they do overseas. But I thought that was cool that that was a thing that, you know, he did his research on before purchasing the vehicle.
Somewhere around here there's just the tiniest dent, and they marked it on the slip as an imperfection.
Yeah, so that's pretty cool. Even the small stuff that like a normal, you know, guy off the street wouldn't even notice, the auction place mentions. So that was cool. Like I said, I just don't know if the US auction sites and stuff on a car like this, they would go that thorough. Maybe they would. I'm sure on certain classic cars they do, but that just shows my ignorance of buying cars of this kind of caliber. So anyways, let's see what kind of power this thing makes. All stock, other than a twin loop exhaust and a JDI Ghost Box radio. I think the radio might add 10 ponies, but I don't know. So obviously my ignorance towards a lot of these like rare Japanese imported cars shows clearly here, but there is a lot of really cool small differences. I showed you like the carbon fiber on like the door panels and the HVAC. That's cool. The steering wheel is obviously like a different type of Honda.
Momo.
It's a factory Momo steering wheel, so that's cool. The gauge cluster is obviously different. They go to 10,000 RPM and they read in kilometers versus mile an hour. Just like this stuff too, all Integra Type R. And the red Recaro seats in the front is really cool, but he actually just pointed out to me that the rear seats are also different with the way that the stitching is. They're actually black with red stitching from the factory. I love these rear seats. I did not notice this the first couple times I looked at this car with him, but that's pretty cool to see that. Actually, that's probably a really expensive OEM plus mod that you could do to a Civic or something like that, or your normal Integra. Factory bars. These bars are Oh yeah, because they're literally labeled Type R.
Yeah, so that's factory option.
That's cool.
So not all even have this, so that was kind of cool.
Yeah, everybody puts the sway bars or the bars, the strut tower bars on their cars after the fact, but wow,
this is factory though.
That's pretty cool, and that's not normal on a normal Integra. I've never seen that, so that's pretty cool. But not everything with this car. It's still a 98 Integra, guys. It's 26 years old. 27 probably before it was, actually built. 27 years old, and it has 130,000 kilometers, right?
180,000 kilometers, but 111 miles.
Okay, so 180,000 kilometers, around 110-ish thousand miles. Just because it's a Type R and it's all original and stuff like that does not mean that it is bulletproof and it's not prone to issues like every other Honda that you guys have seen on the channel and me fixing a bunch of issues on. So when he bought this car, he noticed that like we would go take it for a joyride and bang a couple gears with it, and it would clunk really hard going into gear. So we actually replaced the motor mounts. What was that, like 2 weeks ago I think we did. The rear engine mount was bad, so we replaced all the mounts with OEM stuff. We didn't change anything just because it's kind of a good cruiser. You don't want to make a bunch of vibration and all that. But so we replaced the engine mounts, and then I would say a week later, I get a phone call, and the car is dead on the side of the road. Did not start. It just shut off. It started misfiring and doing a bunch of weird stuff. And that's just like, hey, we're working the bugs out of this car because it probably hasn't really been driven a whole lot. Being 26 years old, only having 110,000 miles, we're finding all the weak links on it. And misfiring, stuttering, and then the car just shut off and would not start back up. I was on the phone with them. We were trying to diagnose, see if it was a fuel pump or what kind of issue it was, or computer, wiring, whatever. Ended up being the distributor. The igniter inside the distributor went bad. So I had a B-Series VTEC distributor here that I just kind of gave him for the time being and got the thing back up and running. But distributor failed, motor mounts, and today we just replaced the axles on it. So this car being a 5-lug, because from my understanding 98 to 2000 Integra Type Rs are 5-lug, 96 to 98 are 4-lug. The 5-lug stuff has a 36, or the bigger axle. It's like the 36 millimeter axle nut. They're larger axles overall. And he went to the parts store and purchased a set of RSX base model axles, right?
I think it's Type S.
Okay, so maybe Type S axles, I don't know, but they're supposedly the same as like a factory Integra Type R. So put some import direct axles in it. Could go with OEM stuff, but for the time being he drives this car and enjoys driving it, so we just kind of went with something that we could get. And because the issue was with the original axles that were in it, it would clunk when you would like take off from a stoplight, and the axles would kind of just slap back and forth. It wouldn't click when you turn or anything like that, but it would just clunk on takeoff and backing up, stuff like that on initial movement of the car. So axles, distributor, and motor mounts are the only issues he's had with it, and he really enjoys driving it, so it's pretty cool. I think I drove it once. Maybe I'll throw a picture in here of me taking my first right-hand drive Honda experience. And yeah, but anyways, enough jibber jabber. Let's see what kind of power this thing makes, because I'm sure that's why all you are here. Yeah, factory Type R stuff. So Type R factory header, which I believe is better than all the other B-Series factory headers. This airbox tubing even looks bigger than like a normal B series one. Maybe not. Maybe this stuff's all the same, but just blabbing. I'll shut up. Okay, time to do a pull. One thing, I just had to pick up the camera and blab again to you guys. I had to mention this because when I drove this car for the first time, the main thing I noticed, other than it being right-hand drive, and like just how well composed the car feels, factory limited slips, sway bars, all of it, is the damn brakes. The brakes on this car, probably, I mean, brakes just slow you down, guys. I'm a drag racer, and I'm all about cut and rolling resistance and all that kind of stuff. But the brakes on this car, guys, are hard to deny. It was the best feeling brakes in a Honda I've ever had. Factory. That's crazy. I just had to say that because it did blow me away the first time I drove this car, how good the brakes were.
Top left, or top right.
Lower your VTEC, bro.
Yeah, probably.
Yeah, even stopping the car on the dyno, the brakes are like right there. All right, so obviously factory computer, factory exhaust, factory, how you get it from the factory. VTEC is a little bit high, it seems like. It like doesn't crack VTEC until like 5,500 or something. Is that
I think 58 or 68.
58, wow. Yeah, it literally looks like 5,800.
Yeah.
It's right where it cracks. And you can see the big jump. It makes pretty good power though. Oh, hang on. Let me see, let me scale this quick. There we go. Let me zoom down on this. And it likes being hot, so it'll beat on it more.
That's what I thought after a highway cruise.
Really?
It rips better. Yeah.
Really? Yeah.
Yeah.
So this curve to me isn't a proper Honda curve because you can see the big jump in torque at 5,800. We try to make that a little bit smoother. What we could do is we can lower the VTEC point down, but then you don't get the like nostalgic VTEC kick. If the higher the VTEC is, the more of the kick you feel. So that's what that jump is in power at 5,800 there. And it definitely doesn't make as much like super high-end power as I thought. It really kind of flattens out at about 7,600 RPM. But almost completely factory, the best pull we made, 187 horsepower. That's impressive on a factory unopened B series. That's pretty cool. What do they make, or what do they claim to make?
It's either like 197 or like 200 even.
200, something like that, yeah. So, obviously being a front wheel drive car, there's not a whole lot of drivetrain loss on something like this, but pretty cool to see and hear and experience an authentic Japanese Integra Type R. I hope you guys enjoyed the video. And it's always really cool to do back-to-back-to-back horsepower pulls on the dyno, because then we really get a feel for where the engine likes to make power. A lot of times, like motorcycles and stuff, from my experience doing the dyno stuff, motorcycles usually make, like especially, I don't know what I'm saying, some engines like to make horsepower hotter. Some engines like to make horsepower when they're colder. This thing, being a Honda, kind of makes sense, as Hondas are oil burning, loose, 500,000 mile engines. They're just like they're just built loose. And the more heat you put in, the more ring seal you get, the more everything just kind of seals up and gets hotter. They make more power. And that was a cool example to see. Almost a 2 horsepower gain from the first pull we did to the third. So that was cool. Obviously no other changes or tuning or anything like that. I don't know if there's a tasteful tuning option for this car that my buddy can look into here, but you guys will have to let us know in the comments how we can tastefully mod this car and still not piss off the purists. Another thing to mention is when we replaced the distributor when he was broken down on the side of the road, we just chucked this distributor on it and we did not time it or anything, and he said it felt spunkier. So maybe this distributor is slightly more advanced or something from like a factory setting. So that could be another result of the current power it's making. If you want to see more with this car, we can definitely do like maybe we'll go to the park or something one day when it's nice outside, we get a real good look at this thing, or we can talk about the like all the differences with the Japanese model versus like any, you know, United States model Integra, because my buddy here obviously knows all the little quirks and differences with the holographic Integra. So yeah, thanks for watching, guys. Have a great night and a better tomorrow. We'll see ya. God bless, and happy Integra days.